Dahlia Cross was a girl of noble birth, raised by her father, Balin, in the city of Irongate, just south of Silver's Reach in the Ashfall. Dahlia was raised to believe her mother was Balin's wife, Lorna Cross, who is said to have died shortly after Dahlia was born. Balin was very protective of his daughter and kept her sheltered but spoiled. Dahlia believed it was because he missed his wife and didn't want to lose his daughter as well. Dahlia studied magic from an early age for two reasons. One, because she enjoyed it and had an affinity for it. And two, because she was told her mother, Lorna, was once a very accomplished mage. Dahlia was happy that it pleased her father and felt that she was taking after her mother. For 18 years, Dahlia lived quite content in the absolute bliss of her ignorance. But like all things, even goodness has its end. It was inevitable this perfect existence would cease to be. Its conclusion was never a question of would or would not, but rather when. This all changed when she mistakenly found her mother's old journal in Balin's private library. Hoping to learn more about the mother she never knew, Dahlia began to read it, and what she would discover would horrify her. The book was both a personal diary and a research journal. There were notes written by Lorna on magic and experiments that revealed the woman's deep fascination with necromancy, a form of magic abhorred in their country of Ceres. Lorna's research was reprehensible and dark. As Dahlia continued to read, the once purely academic work would give way to passages in which Lorna described a deep paranoia. She professed a growing awareness that her work was catching the attention of the authorities, and that she might soon be compromised. Lorna then described a new experiment, a failsafe if things go wrong, a spare body, a vessel to flee into in case of death, which was surely what she would be put to if the forces of Ceres apprehended her. The notes detailed the extent of the experiment, how close she was. The spare just needed time to grow now. Everything else appeared to be in order. Suddenly the notes changed to a different handwriting, one that Dahlia recognized to be her father's, Balin. Balin lamented the loss of his wife. The Ceresian Guard raided their home, and the force was spearheaded by a powerful paladin of Croesus, god of death and judgment thereafter. Lorna and Balin fought off the invaders, but Lorna was struck down by the paladin, whereas Balin barely escaped with his life. He wrote of how he thought at first all was lost, as Lorna's spare was not ready. At least, not according to her own projections. However, when Balin retreated to her hidden laboratory, the container that the spare had been contained in was ruptured, and there lay a squalling, very much living infant. Balin wrote how he was overcome with relief, despite the fresh grief of seeing his wife taken from him. Clearly, the experiment had worked. It was just a little too early. The spare had needed more time to mature, but Selena had died before it could do so. Regardless, it had worked, and Selena's soul had found its tether to the spare. She had been reborn into this new body. Balin writes that he escaped with the spare and fled their home as it went up in flames, cleansed by the paladin of Croesus of the evils within. Balin traveled far, donning a new name for himself and dubbing the infant Dahlia, calling her his child for the sake of appearances. But only he knew the truth. His Selena just needed time to mature. He was sure of it. Time passed in the journal, and Balin continued to write, taking up the mantle of his lost wife in these pages. He wrote in the journal as if he was writing directly to Selena, expressing his thoughts, his desires, his pride, and how nicely Dahlia is growing. How each day they grew closer to reuniting once more. Balin did not understand why Dahlia did not have any memories of her life as Selena, apart from the aptitude for magic. But, he told himself, those memories will come. Selena swore they would. It's just too early, still. When Dahlia finished reading the journal, she attempted to flee her family home. She was sickened by the thought that the man she thought her father had raised her with the intention of replacing his lost wife. But she was even more horrified by the thought that Salina, the woman she had idolized, was such a twisted mage who dabbled in vile magic. And not only that, all signs pointed to Balin's theory being correct, that she was Salina. Or rather, that she eventually would be. She hadn't been born, she was created. The proof was there in the massive oil painting of Salina that Balin kept over the fireplace. They were identical. No, not identical. Dahlia was a perfect copy. In her attempt to flee, a halfling woman named Fionn, the governess that raised her, decided to help her. Fionn revealed that she knew the truth of Dahlia's origin, and she was sad that Dahlia had to face that reality now. However, if Dahlia wanted to leave, Fionn would do everything she could to aid in that endeavor. And Fionn proved to be a different woman than Dahlia thought. She was swift and cunning, with impressive survival skills. Fionn managed to get Dahlia all the way to Silver's Reach, where she introduced Dahlia to her real employer, a tiefling woman known only as the Master. Fionn begged the Master for a favor, and the Master agreed that Dahlia's promising talent for magic could be useful. At least, eventually. The debt would be steep, but Dahlia was willing to do anything to free herself from the man she was certain would never let her go otherwise. A deal was struck, and Dahlia found herself in the employ of the Master. First things first, Dahlia was young, and despite her talent, still a fledgling in the arcane arts. The Master's first order was to send Dahlia to the Mariguard Academy in Aurelia, a renowned institute that trained all manner of mercenaries. It was there Dahlia would begin her intensive training, the first steps in becoming useful to her new employer. Dahlia was happy enough to oblige. Aurelia was as far as anyone could get from her father's home in Ceres, without traveling to another plane of existence entirely. And here we begin. She arrives at the Mariguard with a new name and an altered appearance, ready to leave everything she once was far behind her. Lorna Haliuth is a half-elf wizard. She doesn't have a coin to her name, nor a family to speak of. But she's free. At least. For now. Amaranth is a world in recovery. Only a century ago, the people of Amaranth were starved of divine magics, relying on their own ingenuity and the arcane to create and prosper where the gods were missing. But not all was so straightforward. Necromancy and the twisting of life by the weave has run rampant for millennia. The War of the Dead, a coup attempt by a powerful group of necromantic wizards to take over the powers at Amaranth, was only barely thwarted, and the scars of those battles still mar the landscape. Skeletons and ghouls, wraiths and walking corpses aimlessly wander, seeking sustenance or the chance to capture a new soul, attacking innocents in towns at random. For centuries, the world was in strife as all the nations fought together to defeat the threat of undeath, and they were losing. Finally, the fall happened. A great asteroid fell into the crystal ocean, and with it the gods returned. Immediately they purged the land of the walking dead. Skeletons and zombies immediately destroyed as the lost souls were restored by the patient and guiding hands of Croesus. With the return of the gods, the efforts of a group of heroes, known as the Wanderers, and the appearance of a group of refugees, the practice of the divine magics were restored, and clerics and paladins of all faiths began to emerge stronger than ever before. Now, 100 years later, as the landscape has continued its recovery, new and troubling issues arise. A tentative Cold War brews beneath the naval country of Tridon and the Arcanatech nation of Ceres, and the world watches with bated breath as new and more dangerous threats arise. But this story is your story. In a world filled with stories, Amaranth always has one to tell, but this one is of a young woman standing just outside the gates of the Mariguard Fortress. From what you've heard, the Mariguard Academy is unusual. It could be described as a school, though what you might learn there varies so greatly that anyone declaring alumnus might be turned away from academics simply on principle. Oh, hold on. Sorry. I accidentally hit back. It is better described as a guild, or as a fortress, a castle built centuries ago that the fishing town of Ferrum grew off of like an affectionate mole. It is a guild with a reputation across all of Aurelia, where the mercenaries who fight for the Mariguard are told to be champions, or geniuses, or saviors, or villains. The Mariguard is unusual. It is founded within the borders of Aurelia, the golden green nation of trade and mixed culture, but the Mariguard swears no fealty. It provides contracts to those who pay for them with no concern for allegiance or retribution. You even heard it was recently rebuilt after a terrible strife. The one constant, if you hire Mariguard contractors and do not pay for their service, they will never help you again. And the Mariguard, physically, is everything you heard it was, it seems. A stout, gray stone keep is sentineled by spires, arrow-slit windows, and protected battlements remark of a history in the structures. The main keep itself appears only 2 or 3 stories in height, though it appears wider than you can tell from here. Trees and archery butts block your view after a ways. To the sides of a stone path ahead, you see the grounds of the academy are well kept. Flat stretches of grass that appear tended to, either by careful hands or by the horses you hear chuffing and pacing within a large stable to your right. Short fences and paddocks weave between high trees and boulders throughout the grounds to your left, some of which showing signs of wear or practice. Banners of the Mariguard hung from high spires flap lazily in the breeze, the sunlight dancing across the crimson fabric. The spires bastion the keep at all corners, and they reach high above the walls with large windows, within some of which you see flashes of light. Your ears fill with the symphony of effort. The sounds of clashing blades and shouted commands echo from the training yards. Resounding thunder and staccato thumps accompany smoke that rises from the towers of the keep, and you witness lights drop from skies in places you can't see from here. It is your story, Lorna, as you stand in front of the Mariguard Academy. What do you do?
Did I just come off the boat?
You have made your way through the town of Ferrum, up the main street, and you stand in the archway, looking up at the Mariguard Academy.
Okay, I take a deep breath. It was quite a journey getting here. Several weeks at sea. But it's the first breath I've had in a while that doesn't feel like I'm choking. I steel my nerves, and I head towards the door.
The large double doors of the Mariguard Academy loom above you, but as you're approaching, you hear conversation, chatter coming from the various windows around you, and going inside, you feel welcomed, almost. Warmth waiting in this autumn day. You push open the doors. You enter a large lobby. On the walls that are made of wood, you see there are all sorts of portraits of various, what look like almost heroic figures. But when you look a little closer, all of them seem to be taken care of. They don't look as though they've just seen battle. They look as though they're happy to be being painted. All of them look cheerful in different ways. The most dour of which being a dark brown-haired human who looks like he's just wearing little more than a smirk. With a quick glance, you see the name beneath that particular portrait is Maxwell White. Your attention is brought forward. There is a tall desk in the middle of this waiting area. You see that behind it is a stocky dwarf with very thick and wiry black and brown hair mixed into gray, almost salt and pepper, and his beard is pulled into tight beads as he is writing down something on a ledger. As the door shuts behind you, he glances up and he says, "Right, welcome to the Mariguard Academy. I'll be with you in just a moment."
Okay, thank you.
What do you do while you're waiting?
I'm gonna wander a little closer to the man with the smirk, the painting.
Okay.
Take a few details in. Does the name sound familiar to me?
Roll a history.
First roll.
First roll. Do you recognize Maxwell White?
I'm gonna say probably not.
Unfortunately, no. With a 10, that name sounds like a typical human name. Doesn't sound like one you would have heard outstanding in any way. But you do notice as you're looking at it, in finer print beneath it, it says, Rogue Instructor.
Oh, so these are all the instructors.
You take a glance over, you see there is a wide and grinning Goliath's face. Beneath it, the name Ilrad of the Mountain. Beneath that, it says Fighter Instructor.
Okay. Is there a Arcanic Instructor?
It doesn't take long to look, but you might be surprised by what you find, as there is the portrait of the massive, horned and crowned face of a brass dragon. You look at that one, seeing the name says Tabernacle Keeper of Stories, but beneath that says Wizard Instructor.
Dragon.
From the desk you hear, "Yeah, that one always gets lots of attention."
Yes, it's, he's a dragon.
Mm-hmm. Right. Sorry for the wait. I'm happy to help you. How can I?
I'm here to enroll.
Do you have the tuition?
I do.
Right. All right. So, and he pulls the ledger that he was reading and he closes it with a and sets it down on the counter and picks up another one. And he pushes it forward across the desk towards you and he says, "My name's Persh. If you have any logistical questions, they'll be coming to me. Go ahead and sign your name and where you're originally from here on this ledger."
Of course. She goes to her belt where her pouch is, and she pulls out everything inside it. The sum of exactly 100 gold, because that's all she was given. And it was to enroll in the Mariguard Academy. So she places that on the table.
No, hold on to that. You'll be given that to selections after you've been processed here. I just need your name and where you're from.
Of course. And she tucks it away. And is there a quill on the table?
Yeah, he's offering you one.
He takes it. She takes it and signs her name. Lorna Holloweth.
And the origin?
She pauses.
It's
thinks
as
quickly
beginning,
as
child.
possible.
It doesn't have to be honest. Just give me something to put in the papers.
She writes Ferrum, because that's where she is right now, and that's the first thing that came to her mind.
He raises an eyebrow as he looks at it and just, "Very well." And he takes the ledger and puts it down. You'll understand now that as you have begun the process of enlisting with the Mariguard Academy, you can be seen as a Mariguard recruit, which means that anything you do, any misbehavior, will look negatively upon the Mariguard Academy, and so you will be disciplined. Does that understand? You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, fantastic. I'm not going to be railing you with anything after that. If you look to your right, you'll see there's a door there labeled selections. Go in there and you'll select your training.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, Miss Talworth.
She goes to the door, pushes it open.
The first thing you see is that this room's fairly small. It is well lit by a pair of torches, one on each side. They are clearly magically lit, as there's no heat from them, and the light doesn't really flicker. But you do see on the far side of the room, there is a vast table littered with gear. From left to right, it is covered with weapons and arms and packs and just at a quick glance, it's almost overwhelming. But when you get your bearings and you look a little bit closer, you see that it's separated into 13 sections. A huge pack covered with heavy weapons and loose armor declares it's for the barbarian course. Then, a long bow and pair of short swords with a pack with all sorts of survival supplies declares it's for the ranger course. And as you're looking at it, you almost don't notice the man in the corner next to you, and he says, "Morning."
Oh,
You,
hello.
you recognize the man from the portrait, Maxwell.
You're Mr. White.
So I am, and welcome. I see you're here to begin training.
That's right.
And what's your name?
Lorna. Lorna Halloweth.
Right, fantastic. Why don't you go ahead, choose your course, and then you can pay for it here once you've chosen.
Of course. So she approaches the table and looks for what might give way to the wizard class.
The wizard's class. You see there is a huge and ornately built spell book. A quick glance at it shows that it's empty, but it is a beautiful spell book. It's black bindings with brass fittings on all corners. The parchment itself seems dense and looked like it takes ink very easily. With it are all sorts of supplies and a huge component pouch that you can see is already filled with a lot of various spell components. Scrolls and other parchment work lie around it, and behind that, a wand that looks ready to be used. All of this seems as though it'll fit within a satchel that looks as though it should go over one's shoulder.
She feels a warmness at the familiarity of these objects, things that she understands and hasn't changed, despite how many miles she put between herself here and where she came from. She takes those items.
Okay. Behind you, Maxwell says, "Ah, you wizard, huh? All right. Tabernacle's always happy to have foreigners. Why don't you go ahead and sign your name here?" And he has pulled out another ledger, and you see at the top that says Tabernacle's course, and then there's various signatures that are in really odd handwriting. Some of them you can't even read. Maybe not because it's fancy handwriting, it just looks a bit close to chicken scratch, or maybe it's in a language you don't understand.
Everybody knows that wizards and doctors are the same thing, really.
You're not wrong. Just go ahead and sign here, and then I'll take your tuition.
Okay, she does so, feeling a little bit more confident as she begins signing this name as it becomes more familiar to her.
Maxwell takes the ledger and he kind of sets it down on this little, it's basically a pedestal next to where he was sitting. And he says, "It's your first time here, right?"
Yes?
All right, I'll show you up to the tower. Do you have any questions for me before we get there?
Yes, but I'm worried it'll sound a little rude.
You haven't left the room yet, and Maxwell kind of looks at you with a slightly amused smirk, and he says, "Go ahead and ask, child. You haven't asked me anything that would scare me away."
Well, you're the rogue instructor, yes?
Aye?
You're doing inductions?
Well, all the rogues are out performing their tasks. I don't have anything better to do.
Do you enjoy meeting new people?
One could say I've developed an eye for sizing them up.
You make snap judgments?
I do.
I'm curious.
I'm sure you are.
You're no fun.
You're welcome to ask, but I'm not going to answer, I'm afraid.
That's why I didn't bother. That's the only question I had, sir.
As Maxwell kind of smirks at you, what does Lorna look like?
Ooh, I wrote this down. All right. Lorna is a young woman who looks to be in her early 20s. Her half-elven heritage is immediately apparent in the fine point that her ears come to, although they are not quite the length a pure-blood elf might have. Her skin is a warm brown, flecked with beauty marks. Her features are sharp and striking, most noticeable in her high cheekbones, her aquiline nose, and dark, hooded eyes. Her hair is dark brown and straight, framing her face like a curtain, and the style is distinctly asymmetric. The right side stops just above her shoulder, whereas the left side falls a few inches further. You imagine someone might accomplish such a style if they held the whole of their hair in one hand and cut off most of it in one fluid motion with a very sharp blade. Lorna is on the tall side at about 5'8" and slender. She holds herself with practiced grace, but the clothes she wears seem oddly, even deliberately plain, like someone who doesn't want to draw attention to themselves. She wears mostly browns, blacks, and other neutrals, but despite an apparent effort to remain low-key, Lorna can't seem to eliminate her favorite color from her wardrobe entirely. Without fail, she always manages to incorporate something with yellow into her attire, although if you asked her if she preferred any color over the others, she would certainly tell you they were all the same to her.
Maxwell kind of tilts his head and he would just say, "Whatever it is you're running from, you're at least safe here."
Her smile falls immediately. She looks stone-faced.
That's what I thought. "Follow me, I'll show you to your tower." And he does. He begins leading you down the hallways. This keep seems much larger on the inside than it did on the outside. And as you leave the selections room, the first thing he does is he points to his left. He says, "That's the main hall. That's where you'll find Halpersh if you need to ask him any questions. Behind him, you'll find the Great Hall, which is where you can grab yourself something to eat. The kitchens are open 24 hours. Don't ask the golems any tricky questions. They won't answer. But there's usually food available if you're hungry. Grab yourself something to eat. But regular meal hours, 7 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 7 in the evening. That's typically when meals are served."
How many students, mercenaries in training? How
Recruits.
many are there? Recruits.
Typically, well, this time of year things are a little bit slow. At the moment, I believe there's maybe about 40 of you.
Total?
Yeah, between the various courses. Not too many wizards, I'm afraid.
That's fine.
Most people come here with the idea of crushing things between massive hammers and that sort of thing.
Certainly, I'm sure you've met a wizard or two, and you know that we are solitary creatures.
That's not been my experience.
Really?
Aye. You'll see what I mean when we get there. And he gestures for you to follow. And as you do, you're going down the halls, and you see there are various doors that lead to other rooms. And they seem really close together. Too close together for them to be full classrooms. It doesn't take much for you to realize these are likely, maybe you've read about them before, doors to demi-planes.
Are these just accessible?
Well, here, this one's not so bad. And he goes up to another door, and it says, "Clearwater Classroom." And he opens it up, and it opens into what can only be described as a beautiful... I'll show you an image.
Ooh.
An almost fey-like forest sanctuary, with rivers leading from falls and a sky that seems like it doesn't match the one you left from outside. And he says, "Each of these rooms are the responsibilities of their instructors to manage, and so some of them are a little bit over the top. This is where druids come to train, and I'm sure there's a few in here, we just don't see them."
Oh, it's remarkable. Are they all open outdoor?
No. This is specifically for druids. I just wanted to illustrate to you that this is not a normal place. And he will...
I've gathered so far.
He closes the door again.
The wizard's training room just as lovely?
I'm sure it will be to your liking. And he,
But not to yours.
it's a little bit too stuffy for me. And also, the threat that if anything were to leave the room, there's a brass dragon in there. So,
Is he known for violence?
it's a brass dragon, Lorna.
I don't know a lot about brass dragons.
Well, he has some rules that you're best to follow. I'll say that.
Certainly, but I would have followed them whether my teacher has rows of fangs or not.
Right, but he's not likely to threaten you. It's just that he is threatening.
I'll take your word for it. I hope he's nice.
He's a bit talkative, actually.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah, that's what I meant. He enjoys company. You'll see what I mean. And he leads you down the rest of the hall to the corner where the stone is rounded out, and he opens the door that leads to a tower, and he begins to climb it. It doesn't take long, and you see that you're climbing maybe 2 stories until you come across another door that's rounded at the top and set with a stained glass window. And he says, "Right, this will be the wizard's classroom. Why don't you go ahead and get yourself introduced? And once you're done, I'll be waiting here to show you to your dorm."
You're just gonna wait here?
Yeah,
You're a man of patience.
I can be. I got nothing
wouldn't
else
have-
better to do.
I wouldn't have pegged you for it, the way you're smirking in your picture downstairs.
You don't know much about my trade, then.
I guess I don't.
It's all about patience. And he will open up the door, and you look in on a massive library. Huge, with purple stained glass windows up at the top. And why isn't it showing it to you?
I
There
didn't
we
want to
go.
bring it up. There it is.
Desks covered with parchment, bookshelves lined with tomes and scrolls. The entire room smells of rich parchment. That's what you see immediately, and he just kind of urges you to go in.
Now this is a beautiful room. She's
There-
immediately at home.
I thought you might like that.
I guess I'm easy to read, Mr. White.
You have no idea.
She feels kind of a knot in her stomach, but smiles anyways.
Just messing with you. Go on.
She goes inside.
He closes the door behind you. Immediately, there is this quiet that this room seems to impose, almost like a hush, where as you take footsteps, you would expect the soles of your shoes to clatter on the wood, but they don't. It's muffled. Like it would be easy to concentrate and hear. Why don't you roll me a perception check?
Okay. Oh.
Okay, a natural 20. Over the muffled atmosphere that you can hear, you see that there is a wooden balcony, maybe about 30 feet ahead of you, and it's looking out into a much larger room that looks as though it's almost hewn in dark gray stone. But it's lit. You can see that it's well lit with torchlight, and beyond that, as you're paying attention to it, you become aware of a distant voice you can hear. And as you're looking around, you see that one of the tables does have a student seated at it. There is a large book open in front of them, and from here they look like a halfling, or at least the height of one. They're fairly short. They have long auburn hair that cascades over their back, and they do not look up as you enter. What do you do?
Do I think it's because they didn't hear me?
Roll.
Or are they just really focused?
You don't know. There's no way to tell.
I
They
would
just didn't look up. They're facing away from you.
I would approach. And when I was within 5 feet, I would clear my throat.
She seems alarmed, and the quill that was in her hands goes scattering across the table. And she says,
Oh.
hello?
Sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you.
Oh, no, it's quite all right. And she's, like, reaching for the quill that's just out of her reach.
Can I mage hand and pick it up and hand it back to her?
Thank you. Sorry, I've been really trying to figure out this spell. It's
It's fine.
it's part of my...
I understand. It's easy to get lost in your work.
Oh, you have no idea. Sorry, you look fresh off the street. Who are you?
New recruit. You can call me Lorna if you like.
Oh, well, my manners. And she stands up, and it is a halfling. She holds out her hand and she says, I'm Callie.
Callie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pleasure. She'll shake her hand.
Callie Toothsprig. And she shakes the hand.
Tooth Spring?
Yep. Didn't choose it. Still stuck with it?
Sure. It wasn't a criticism. I was just making sure I said it right.
You got it on the first try, as everyone does in surprise when they hear it.
I'm sorry.
Welcome. I'm glad to see there's another student here who is female. The only other student is a guy, and he's annoying, so be ready for that.
Okay. I'll try not to let your opinions form my judgment too quickly, but if that is the case, I'm sure we'll bond over it.
Nothing like hating someone together. If you're brand new, you should go talk to the instructor.
Yes. Where is he?
Oh, just if you look, you see that balcony over there? To the right of it, you'll see some stairs that lead down into his den. It's a lair.
He's a dragon.
Yep.
Okay. Quick question, Callie.
Mm-hmm.
Is he nice?
Yes.
Insight check. Maybe she's being threatened to
Roll an
have
insight
a good
check.
opinion. Ooh, haha.
She seems to be honest, if slightly hiding the truth.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You'll probably see me around, unless he eats me.
He won't eat you. Yes, I'll see you around. And she sits back down to resume trying to figure out her spell.
Okay. I go where she directs me.
You drop down into... There is a stairwell, and the voice that you heard is this massive brass dragon is curled up around on this huge stage, and its head on the end of its long neck is leaning over the edge of the stage and talking to, you see, there is a tall elven man with black hair that is very short and shaved along the sides, who looks as though... Roll an insight check.
Okay. Insight. Oh, wow.
Another natural 20.
Give me his life story, please.
He looks as though his shoulders ache, his back hurts. It looks like he's been standing here being spoken to for a very long time.
Okay.
It looks as though someone who is trapped in a conversation.
Seeing that, divining that, she will clear her throat again and say, "Excuse me, do you have a moment for me, Mr. Tabernac?"
And the brass dragon, who was in the middle, was like, had paused for just a second to, it was like, And he looks over at you and he says, "Oh, a new student arrives. Yes, fantastic. While you go off and do your studies, I must introduce myself." And the elf is like nodding and looks over at you, and you just see he kind of mouths the "thank you," and he says, "Very well, Lord Tabernacle. I'll see you next time. I'll be right with my studies." And he runs up the stairs, and Tabernacle is inspecting you, and it is an adult brass dragon. This creature is huge. Its head is taller than you are, as it is looking at you with these brilliant gold eyes. It looks down at you and says, "What is it that brings you to the Mariguard?"
First and foremost, I would like to not look like I'm scared shitless.
This is fair.
No, I'm talking to you, DM.
I know, it's fine. Go ahead and roll a wisdom save.
Ugh. decent.
That's successful. You are not... If he were to invoke his terrifying presence, you would succeed against it. So, you swallow down the natural, inclination to run from this creature that can swallow you whole, and you gain your poise back.
Mr. Tabernac, I'm a new student, recruit, as you said. I am just here to further my arcane studies.
It is a pleasure. You smell of the ocean.
Fresh off the boat.
You come from far, do you?
Far enough?
Perfect. I appreciate a real worldly perspective in my students. What is your name?
It's Lorna. Lorna Halloweth.
Lorna. As you have heard, I am Tabernac, the keeper of stories. I am pleased to meet you. Do you have the time to share a story with me?
I do. I can't guarantee it's the best you've ever heard.
All stories are the best of their kind, and always value to keep the unique ones.
What would you like to hear?
Of you. Something you have seen, something you have heard, something you know and are willing to gift me.
I see. Something... Does it have to be something you don't know?
There are few things in that category, but it is the eye of the beholder that flavors all.
I thought as much. Trying to think of something I can tell him that
You don't have to actually tell him.
say.
You can tell him. You tell him about blah 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 blah.
She's going to tell him about the first time she cast a spell when she was 3 years old. She's also simultaneously trying to impress him by her prowess.
Roll performance.
That was a delightful story. Are you certain this is the right room for you? As you may be a company of the bards as well. Tally is always looking. I'm joking.
I was gonna say I've considered it, but I have butter fingers. You really can't be helped. I'm much better at studying.
Good, as you'll be doing that a lot here. I am a wizard of transmutation. It is a sweet nothing of mine that I will spend decades perfecting. I know everyone talks about dragons being sorcerers and never needing to truly study, but the secrets of this world, finding them is the real treasure. I welcome you with open arms, Lorna Halloweth. Today is your day to spend as you please. Tomorrow, you are mine to study and learn. Are you familiar with how the Academy performs its business?
Not even a little bit, sir.
You will study under me for 1 year. 1 year is all I have to turn you into an effective wizard. You are clearly off to a good start. But that does not matter in the grand scheme of things. It is all about follow through. As you study, you will learn the means to craft your own spell. The arcane runes you need to craft magic that does what it is that you want it to do. And for your final test, you will craft your spell, and you will use it. And should it be sufficient, a proper manipulation of the weave, you will be a Mariguard mercenary, graduating with my respect and the honors that that implies. But for the next year, I don't know where you come from truly. I don't know how smart you are truly. But you and all my other recruits are equals. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
I'll not have any swollen egos in my classroom. I wish Halitheth would accept that.
Lorna's eyes go to where the man just left, and then back to him.
Right. I believe Mr. White is still waiting for you, so don't keep him long, or I will not hear the end of it.
I heard he was a very patient man.
Tell his wife that.
Well, thank you. Mr. Tabernacle? Law teacher? Professor? She's just picking all of the titles she can think of.
He lets you struggle the entire time until finally he says,
Master?
Tabernacle will do just fine.
Tabernacle, thank you.
It is my pleasure.
and he
Shoot.
basically crawls back up onto his stage. And then, almost comically, you watch as these massive brass claws pick up a tiny little tome and set it on the stage, and with a tiny claw, the most delicate emotions, opens it up and begins to read.
She ponders privately why he doesn't don a more gainly form of a humanoid to do such manners, but doesn't question it. He looks very well practiced.
Hold on.
Oh God, can he read minds?
As he's looking at the book, he says,
I would not waste the spell.
She tries to think nothing, blank thoughts only in this house, and departs quickly before he can probe any deeper, because that is her worst nightmare.
he doesn't probe any deeper. You just, a surface thought, he read it off the top.
It's still terrifying.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What the?
Okay, you emerge. Do you actually go out in the hall?
She will just take a cursory look at the space to see if Callie is still there, if that elven man she saved is still there.
Yeah, when you get to the top of the stairs, he's kind of just waiting, and he says, hello, I wanted to thank you again for saving me from that particular situation. Our Lord Professor has a weird habit of trapping us in a conversation. I'm pleased to see you. I'm Halliwell Halitheth. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Halliwell?
Most just call me Hal. Yes.
Is that the name you prefer to be called?
No, I'd prefer to be called Halliwell Halitheth, but most people don't want to say the full thing.
If that's how you want to be called, I'll do it. Halliwell Halitheth.
Halliwell, and I appreciate it.
I'll
And
do my best to fix that.
He holds out a hand and says, it's a pleasure to meet you, and you are.
Lorna. Halliwell.
Oh, so many has. This is interesting.
Is he a full elf?
Yeah.
She'll touch the tip of her ear and say, maybe we're related.
Maybe, perhaps. Are you from KO?
Uh, I have family from there.
Well, maybe some distant generation. Anyways, it's a pleasure. If you ever need any help with a conjuration, I'll do my best. I'm obviously still learning. Anyway, I have work to do, but I wanted to say thank you. It is always a problem when hours are driven by Tabernacle telling you the story of a blue dragon harassing individuals atop mountains. So, don't get me wrong, the stories are fascinating, but good lord, I'd have things to do.
I understand. You're welcome. I hope I can be of service in the future.
I'm sure you will. Good day. And he goes and he heads straight out the door. And you, like, it doesn't take much to see Callie, like, looking up, like watching as he leaves.
I'll give her a wave and point to the door.
And she just goes back to working as she waves back.
Lorna will think privately to herself, he seemed fine. And maybe she'll learn.
Maybe. Do you do anything else in this classroom before leaving?
No, she will go to Mr. White, who's been patiently waiting for her.
Okay. You emerge back out into the main hall of this tower. You see Maxwell's just kind of, he's chewing on basically a pipe, but he's not lit it. And he looks up as you come out and he says, well, how was your meeting? As he puts it away.
Enlightening, and I was happily uneaten.
I see that. He's mostly harmless unless you take things out of the room. Be careful about that. It's not a library. It's his stuff. So, anyway, let's lead you to your dorm. He goes down one floor in the tower, and then there are 3 doors. And he says, right, pick one.
Is there a difference?
I'm not going to tell you what it is, though.
Is this like a future dorm living situation?
Yeah, you're choosing your dorm right now.
Okay, she will look carefully at the doors to see if one stands out amongst the 3.
Roll investigation. With a 15, how close do you look?
She's got a pretty critical eye.
Okay. With a 15,
and an appreciation for finer things.
You kind of get close to each door, and the doors, at first glance, seem uniform. However, the first and the third door, all the doors have a lock on them. The first and the third door, the locks show tiny little scratches, as though people have gone into them. The second door seems unmarked.
The middle door, then.
He reaches into his bag, and he produces a fine brass key, and he hands it to you.
She'll take it and say, did I pass?
Oh, you just got a private room.
She looks very pleased with herself. I consider that passing.
Fair enough. Now, you do have to be responsible for waking yourself up then. So, good luck with that. Lots of new students have trouble with it.
I don't think I will.
Famous last words.
She will look to the door and say, is my time with you done, sir?
Unless you have any more questions, I'll be returning to the selections room.
Just smoke a pipe and maybe take a nap?
Perhaps. Well, we get recruits maybe once every couple days, so basically just kind of loiter in there and handle paperwork.
Well, I thank you for your escort.
It's been a pleasure, Lorna. And he marches his way down the town stairs.
She'll go inside her room.
The room has 3 beds in it. The room is round. It's pretty big. In the middle of the room has a massive wooden pillar that it's just big enough with these outstanding shelves that it provides privacy between the 3 sections. When you're in one section, you can't see the other 2, but you can see the door. The beds look pretty comfortable. Each one's about a double. there is a large footlocker. All three of them are open, as there is no occupant in this room yet. There is a large, over the second bed, there is a large window that is stained glass, but the edges around the side of it are perfectly clear, so if you want to, you can see outside. Other than that, there's storage. Seems like a fairly nice room. It seems fairly generic for what you'd expect a dormitory at like a boarding house. But it doesn't take much to learn that the bedding is of nice quality. It seems as though this is a fairly nice place. Might not be as fine as where you're from, but seems comfortable at least.
Do the lockboxes provided have locks on them?
Each one has a lock. You don't see a key, but when you open up the footlocker, there is a key inside.
She will pick a bed, a lockbox, and she will take her bag off her shoulder, and the only thing she has in her bag, really, the only thing of value is the journal in her bag.
Okay.
She will put that in the lockbox, lock it tightly, and put the key in her bag.
Okay. The rest of the day is yours. You can do whatever you'd like. You can time skip to the next day, or you can explore the town. You can explore the academy. It's up to you.
I do have a quick question for the DM.
DM here. How can I help you?
She was given 100 gold for her tuition.
Yes.
What, if any, gold does she have?
Well, let's see. You probably have a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Allow me a moment.
That will determine whether I go into town. If I have nothing, then I don't need to go into town.
Roll me 10. Oh, I'm
Just a
sorry.
D10?
No, I'm sorry. Roll me 4d4.
4d4. 9.
You have 90 gold.
Okay.
Makes sense that you would have had some pocket change. You also have, your basic starting equipment. We can say that it is from the satchel you collected from the selections table, which means all of it is decorated in red and gold filigree, which is the Mariguard's typical flavoring. It's not ostentatious. It's simple, like insignia on the clasps, or the belt strap is brown leather, but it has like a lacing of red and gold on the edges, things like that. Just hints to make it obvious that it's Mariguard, but nothing too over the top.
There are 2 things that she would attempt to get in town between now and the end of her first year. 1 would be a magical lock of some kind, and 2 would be an amulet against detection and scrying.
Okay. An amulet of protection from divination is, you would know, being from the noble sector, they're a common item, or rather, they're an uncommon item, but they're on the lower end of uncommon items. They're a simple ward. So they're probably going to be about 200 gold pieces. Now, you imagine there's got to be ways to make money in this town, aside from working at the academy.
That she would do that. She would do everything in her power to raise the money to get that magical item.
So as you sit in your new dorm room and you consider you want a magical protection ward, why don't we make a quest of it? Add quest. What would you like the name of this quest to be?
Safe from scrying eyes.
Okay, objective. Earn enough gold to purchase an amulet of protection from divination. And then I will add an amulet of protection from divination into the rewards. Well, amulet of proof against detection and location. You know what I mean.
Yes.
You see that?
Where am I looking?
It should be on the foundry.
I see the splash.
Oh, hold on.
Oh.
And then
Available?
we will say it's in progress.
There it is. I see it.
There it is. Now, if you, on the bottom and the left, if you see the little bookmark symbol, you can open up the quest log and this will appear for you in progress.
Bottom left. What are you
Well,
talking
on the bar, the toolbar to the left, underneath like the token controls and measurement controls, you'll see journal notes.
Yes, I see.
You'll see the quest.
Quest log. Great. That's nifty. It doesn't have a reward or objective in it.
It should. Gosh dang
It
it.
does not. I do not have sufficient permission to view the entirety of this.
Oh. That's silly.
Permiss me, sir. There it is. Yes.
That's your first quest that you have taken for yourself.
Baby's first quest.
You are going, so as you play this adventure, as you decide things you want for your character, or as your character develops goals, those are going to be your quests.
I can look back on them and not forget things.
Exactly.
I love it.
You can also, there's another button that says Quest Tracker, which you can click on, and it will pop up a little reminder of what quest you're on or working on at the moment.
Brilliant. Technology's amazing.
It sure is. Also, I just like this mod looks cool, so.
It does. It's very
excited about it.
MMORPG.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm playing World of Warcraft.
Oh dear, I might need to undo this.
No! In the best way that those words could possibly mean.
Now, you know the first step to earning gold is perhaps finding maybe a job or maybe finding a task that needs to be done that you are capable of.
I could do teaching, tutoring for the youths. I could kill small things.
You could.
Is there a job board in town?
There might be. You would need to maybe explore the town.
I would love to do so.
Okay. I shall pull up the map. You have settled in to the Mariguard Academy, and the rest of the afternoon is yours, as it is 1 o'clock. You emerge from the Mariguard Academy looking out into the town. The first thing you notice is that on the street ahead of you, to the right, there is a sizable tavern that has all sorts of people going in and out of it. The sign on the front says, The Mariguard.
Clever.
Other than that, you see people milling about. There's all sorts of individuals going up and about their ways throughout this narrow street. Where do you go?
Well, the Mariguard, the tavern, seems like a good place to start. It seems, if not affiliated, certainly some students go there.
That's not a bad idea.
And who doesn't go to a tavern keep when they want a small quest?
That's fair. As you head into the Mariguard, it is a busy tavern. There is a tall elf with, unfortunately, slightly balding hair on the top, standing behind the counter, who is handling all sorts of customers as they're coming up to this very wide, hand-carved bar top. It is kind of unnecessary how large this bar top is, and you get the feeling that it wasn't originally designed to be a bar top, but it is here, and it distracting enough as it is. You look up to see the elven man look at you, and he says, "Hello, welcome to the Mariguard. How can I help you?"
Yes, I'm looking for a small job to do.
A job.
Sure.
Okay.
And if you don't have any, point me in the right direction, please.
Hold on a moment. I might have something. I think okay. Okay. Yeah. Here's the thing. I got a posting from the apothecary earlier today. They need someone to go get some ingredients for them, if you're willing to do that.
Sure, certainly.
Okay. They need what's called a briar heart. It's a plant. You might want to go down to the apothecary and find out for yourself. But I'm sure they'll pay you a tidy sum.
Thank you so much, sir. For your trouble. And she's gonna put a silver on the countertop.
Thank you.
Information pays.
He kind of gestures and says, if you don't want to bother with him, maybe if you just go out in the Allen Forest, if you know your way around herbs and plants, you might be able to find it yourself.
Okay. What do I know about?
Are you
herbs?
Proficient in nature?
Sure ain't.
Then not much. You can roll nature to see if you do know something about this specific one.
Sure. No.
Nope, you don't. You've never even heard of it. A briar heart sounds odd.
I usually buy my ingredients, or someone will get it for me. I've never looked for them myself.
The tavern keeper blinks and just goes, yeah, maybe go talk to them. They're just down. Okay, if you take a right out on the main street, yeah, you'll see the apothecary. It's right on your right. You can't miss it. It smells of flowers.
Thank you. Sorry, what was your name?
Turney.
Turney?
Galloway.
It's a pleasure
Turney.
to meet you.
It is a pleasure. Thank you. And you are? A new recruit.
You can call me... Yes, you can call me Lorna if you see me again.
I'm sure I will. You new recruits always seem to be coming blundering in here first time.
And I'll blunder my way out, sir.
Okay, you go back out into the street. I'll go back to the map. Okay, so you are here. Based on his description, let me ping. No? There we go. Based on his description, you think you need to go down this street and then take a right after the next block. And as you do, you'll see this small building right here. Why is my ping not working? Do you see the ping?
I do not, sir.
Oh, come on. All right, I'll
Mine
troubleshoot
works.
that later. Yeah, yours does work. That's literally the building I'm trying to ping.
Hey, found it.
I'll just use my cursor. This structure is called Buds and Spices.
That's super cute.
It does indeed smell of flowers, and it's not a window. It's like a wooden lattice work that allows air to go in and out, and you can hear conversation going on inside as you're walking by. Do you go in?
Of course.
Okay. As you step into Buds and Spices, you see there is a very stout female dwarf who is just wearing a full apron and covered in dirt, and she looks up as you enter and says, "Hey! How can I help you?"
I was told you're in need of a briar heart. Is that true?
I am, yeah. Are you gonna go get one?
I would love to. If we can reach a mutual agreement.
Fantastic. Do you know what you're looking for?
Not at all. Can you please tell me?
She turns to the counter and slets down this huge tome and begins shuffling through the pages. It's clearly an herb tome describing all sorts of different plants. And finally, she gets to what looks like the large image of a tree. And she says, Here. It's a parasitic vine. It grows onto oak trees. It carves out a knot, and it grows what we call a briar heart within it. You're gonna just grab one of those. Make sure you cut it out carefully. You don't want to have any tearing, or it's just gonna bleed sap everywhere, and it'll be pointless. Just cut it out smoothly. Bring that back whole. 15 gold in it for you.
Just one?
Just the one. If you find more, I'll give you more gold. I'll give you... Okay. 15 gold for doing the job. If you find any more than just one, I'll give you 5 gold for each individual.
Sounds good. Sorry, what's your name?
Bud.
So I know who I'm working for. Bud. You're Bud.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
It's
I
my
will do
shell.
this for you. Yes, I'm sorry.
It's a pleasure. What's your name?
Lorna.
Okay, Lorna. Thank you for stopping by. Tell the old tavern keep I say thanks for passing the word on.
Of course. Can I just really take one solid look at the page of information just to commit anything I might need to memory?
When you approach the book, she steps back and lets you get a good look at it and roll investigation. You now have advantage on checks made to recognize a Briarheart.
Yay.
All right.
Do I have a sense of direction in this town where I could find the forest?
Yeah, there's a forest. Okay. So you saw it on the approach, and you could see it behind the Mariguard Academy. It's basically to the direct north and east of Ferrum is all forest.
Okay. I head in that direction. Although, would I think that there's any possibility of there being an oak tree in the East Park with a parasitic
Probably not.
plant on it? Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Probably
there
more
are
of a wild
trees in the
thing.
East Park, but they're tended to. It's not really like a likelihood to find a Briarheart there.
Understood.
Okay, so you
Into the woods.
You journey out into the woods. We're gonna go to the world map here.
Into the woods.
So you're not going far. You're just going out of Ferrum. Just basically, you're going on foot. So you're gonna go like a mile. So we don't even really need to.
No wild encounters.
Well, there might be. I'm gonna roll for that.
Troves of goblins.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not gonna say no to that, but it's not likely that you'll encounter anything too crazy. As you journey out into the Allen Forest, I'm going to make a roll. Okay, hold on. As you're making your way up and north into the forest, I'd like you to roll a perception check for me.
Okay. Decent.
Okay. Hold on a second here. I had... Oh, well, it's gone now. Oh, it's in this... Hold on, I need to fix up my compendium here. Brief moment.
No worries.
Thank you for your patience. Okay, got it. As you're heading into the forest, and with a decent perception check like that, you basically get into the crest of trees of the Allenwood, and you begin to look around for an oak tree. Oak trees, you know, they're big, and they kind of stand out here, as this seems like a mostly deciduous forest. But it's not super dense. You can see pretty well between the trees, and the sun's light are cutting through fairly well. With a 17 on perception, you hear a small rustle from the brush to your right. basically, once you've gotten into the forest, like 10 minutes in, you realize you're not alone.
How big does the rustle sound?
It's emerging from a bush, so not very big.
I'll pause and wait to see if whatever's inside will reveal itself.
Roll. Are you trying to be quiet about it, or are you just waiting?
Yes. She's stopped making noise.
Okay, roll stealth.
Really good at that.
I bet you.
Wow. I'm not, but I rolled it really well.
A 19. All right. Yeah. There is a long pause as you are basically waiting to see what is going to emerge. It seems like you're waiting for quite a while. Until suddenly, poking up out of the brush, you see a small, rusty red draconic head appear, wince, and then vanish back down into the brush. It doesn't look at you. It's looking basically to your right, off and a ways. It doesn't even make eye contact like in your direction. You saw the side of its head as it was looking that way, and then it ducked down into the brush. That was a kobold.
Oh. What do I know about kobolds?
They're... You know a couple things about kobolds. You know they're not super dangerous, but they can be in packs. You know they're intelligent. You know they are draconic in nature. And you know that they don't particularly like to be in daylight. So it is weird that there is a kobold in this brush. But if you roll me an insight check...
Happily.
Man.
I know.
Characters rolling on insight.
I know!
This particular kobold looks as though it was just waking up, and it was alarmed to see that it's daylight, and it retreated back into the brush for darkness.
Lorna will softly approach the bush that she saw the creature in, crouch down, and in Draconic say, "Are you alright in there?"
What? Who are you?
Just passing through. So if you needed help, I was going to offer some.
Why did you... All right.
The kobold like's head just pokes out of the brush, and you see it like wincing in the sunlight, and it's looking at you. And he says,
You got anything to eat?
Sure. She'll pull out a piece of dry ration and hand it over.
Oh, you... for free?
Yeah, sure, why not? I said I'd help, and you asked for food.
Okay. Yeah.
and he takes the ration, and he kind of retreats back into the brush and starts eating it. And he says,
Do you know how long until it's dark?
Do I know what time of day it is?
roll survival. With a 10, it's late afternoon.
Probably a couple more hours. Maybe take a nap.
Okay. I'll hide here then.
It's probably a good idea. Friends or family?
Yeah, they're back home.
You just fell asleep in a bush, huh?
I was supposed to be finding... I'm trying to find robin's eggs, okay?
I'm not judging you. I'm just glad you're okay.
You're a lot nicer than most people that come out of town.
I'm not from here.
That explains it. All right. I need to be where you're from.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, well, it's nice to meet you too. I'm Grizz.
Grizz, Lorna, if you ever cross paths again, I'll try to give you some more food.
I appreciate that.
You seem, with your high insight, he seems really confused that you are talking to him.
I speak Draconic. Hell, I'm gonna use that.
Yeah. He says,
Well, you know where you'll find me for the rest of the day.
Actually, I do have a question, Grizz.
Well, okay.
Have you seen any briar hearts in the area?
He might actually know. Hold on.
Uh-huh.
Okay, fair enough.
I think there was an oak grove, maybe a quarter mile that way. There might be some there. I didn't see any, but that doesn't mean they're not there.
You weren't looking. Oh, thank you so much. And I'm going to give him the rest of the ration because I gave him half before.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Yeah, you're great. I'll remember you. What's your name?
Lorna.
Lorna. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Grizz.
He's hiding in the brush, but you can hear him just eating the ration.
I hope to see you soon.
I mean, I hope it will be dark when that happens.
Me too, Grizz. She's going to go in the direction he pointed her.
Okay. You
Aha.
you become friendly with a kobold that fell asleep while it was on a mission. All right. Okay, you head in the direction the kobold guided you. You find an oak grove. Sure
Brilliant.
enough. Go ahead and roll me investigation to search for some briar hearts.
Yes, sir.
And I will roll a d100 to see how likely are you to find one. 14. See you, Beth. On a 14, you do happen to find one fully grown, just right on the vine, briar heart that has nestled itself into an oak tree.
All right. And I remember in the writing how to extract it properly.
You need to use a dagger or a knife, and it's
I have a
kind of
dagger.
an intricate. It's kind of an intricate process.
Mm-hmm.
I'll allow you to roll. It's going to be basically a dagger attack, but I'm going to give you advantage because you read on it.
Okay. I am not very dexterous. She wasn't kidding when she told Tabernac she had butterfingers. So advantage, I believe a +2. Oof, not great. First set our low rolls. Just going really slowly.
With an 11, you're doing your best to try and carefully cut out this briar heart.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get the first root of it cut off, it goes perfectly fine. When you go for the second one, the dagger's tip just right into the edge of the briar heart, and sap begins to pour out of it.
Oh, shit. 1 second. I should have taken mending.
It is, unfortunately, this briar heart is damaged and is not usable.
Oh. She puts her head in her hands. It's going so well, too. She stands up begrudgingly and looks for another one.
Roll investigation.
That's a lot better.
Yeah, as you look through the forest, you spend it takes like 45 minutes, but you get deeper into the oak grove and you find 3 trees with briar hearts on them.
Okay.
They're close to each other, and you realize the vine network is actually connected between the 3 trees.
Okay. Before she gets started, can I just perceive that I'm safe and alone in this grove?
Yeah, roll perception.
Okay.
1 moment. Well, let's see here. With a 15 in perception, as you're near these oak trees, you suddenly hear. What languages do you speak?
Common, Draconic, Elvish, and Infernal.
Okay, it's not in a language you understand.
Mm-hmm.
But it's clearly you've alarmed something.
Does it sound hostile?
Or
just startled?
That's a good question.
Can I insight check the tone of the noise?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm doing some great insight checks.
It seems alarmed and territorial.
Ooh. I'm just gonna...
Roll me another perception.
Okay.
If you look around for wherever this came from.
Oof.
Okay, you don't see where or what or who or whatever weird noise that was. So as you're like looking at these oak trees, looking around, suddenly this... I need a dexterity saving throw. As suddenly beneath your feet, there's a very slick spot on the ground. And you like, whoa, you begin to like stumble.
I'm so not dexterous.
I know.
Oh, okay, that wasn't such a bad roll.
Okay, you stay on your feet. And revealing itself from... You look up, and in the trees is this creature. Wait, roll me a history check or an arcana check.
Oh, they're both the same. I'll do Arcana.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, you're looking at a boggle, which is a small territorial fey creature. And it doesn't look happy that you're here, and it's going to attempt to attack you. But because you saw it and it revealed itself, failing to make you trip, it doesn't get a surprise on you.
Aha. On guard, little monster.
So roll initiative for me.
Dang.
Yeah, you probably go first. You certainly do. So as the boggle is like... and it hurls this oil down at you, you see it. What do you do?
I'm going to extend my hand, and I'm going to cast Chill Touch on it.
Okay. What's the save?
It's not a save, it's an attack to hit.
Oh, go ahead.
18.
Yeah, that hits.
My first murder. 4 points of damage.
Okay. Yeah, you deal 4 points of damage. As it's like hanging up in this tree, and then it gets grabbed by this necromantic hand, and and then it's going to... any movement on your turn, you can get away from it, or you can get closer to it.
How far away is it?
It's 20 feet up in a tree, but otherwise it's right above you.
I really want those briar hearts.
So you're going to stand your ground?
I'm going to stand my ground.
Okay. The boggle is going to attempt to... oh, wait, hang on. Okay, you see the boggle as it's on this branch goes... And then you see next to you suddenly a magical rift opens.
Oh, God.
And you see the boggle looking at you, and it goes... Yeah! And it punches you through the rift.
Oh, God, they can teleport.
They can. That is an 11 to hit.
That hits.
Oh my god. Okay.
I'm gonna put shield up.
Okay, you bounce off the tiny boggle's oddly large hand, and you block yourself from taking any damage. And then it retracts through. It opened the rift, but it didn't step through it. So like you're looking up and you can see it, and you look to your right, and it's right next to you. You like in Portal. And it's just, it's saying all sorts of angry shit at you.
I'm gonna huck another chill touch at it.
Okay, roll your spell attack.
Natural 20.
A natural 20?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it crits. Your chill touch does a minimum of 8+, so go ahead and roll your d8. You rolled a 7, so it, okay. As the boggle, just another necromantic hand goes like, you watch the boggle go, and vanishes into fey mist.
Oh, God,
And
I think I killed it.
You defeat the boggle.
What the hell? Great. I'm glad I didn't take a hit, because that could have killed me. I'm going to very carefully approach the briar hearts that I was attempting to harvest.
Okay. Give me another deck attack at advantage.
Can I just chill touch it?
Nope.
Oh,
Just
way better at that.
necromantic it out. Yeah, no, you can't
Yeah.
do it. If you have another spell you'd like to try and like creative use here,
Oh, that first one doesn't work.
you destroy the first Briarheart.
I ruined one. Great.
There's
I
two
have
more.
Mage Hand, but I don't know if that will help.
Not really.
Yeah, I really don't have anything here that Ice Knife, but that would probably ruin them.
Yep.
Yep, I just have to crack at it with the dagger and hope I roll better. All right, second one. Seriously? Oh,
You
my
destroy
attack
the second Briarheart.
rolls- Oh, my attack rolls are garbage. One more.
One more.
She's at this point. She's just cursing quietly under her breath because
The DC is not high. You're bound.
I
to
know.
get it at some
God
point.
damn her untalented fingers.
Yep.
How?
Oh man, you destroy all three Briarhearts.
She slumps on the ground. Oh, gods above. Why? 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 I gotta ask. What have I done?
As you sit there, and the suns are setting, and you're working on these Briarhearts, and you've failed all three.
Four total.
All four. There's still this puddle of oil that's slowly evaporating. You hear, "You have any luck?" As Grizz appears, looking around a tree.
Lorna looks over from her slumped position, shakes her head.
Doesn't
I
look
found them. No, I found them. I'm not very good with my hands, so I've ruined all of them.
Oh, well, you help me with my food. Maybe I can help you find one.
Really?
Yeah. Most people just attack a kobold, but you were like, yo, you need help, so I'll help you out. Let me see what I can do.
And he begins looking for another Briarheart. And his method of investigation is completely different from yours. He like scuttles up on the trees and looks at like different knots in the vines and stuff like that. He's going to make an investigation check. It's not an advantage. But he rolled a natural 15 for 14. He rolled another D100.
It's not that smart.
No.
Oh, buddy.
He finds one.
Just one?
Just one.
I'll take it.
He's not very smart. He's like,
Here's one.
Okay. Do you want to help me, or do you want me to help you try to take it out?
I can try to take it out.
Okay.
he like looks at the other wild Briarhearts you've tried to remove, and they're all like bleeding sap.
Yeah.
I got you. Let me give it a shot.
Thank you, Grizz.
Are you gonna help him?
She will lean over his shoulder and recite aspects of the book she read about its intricate attachments to the source.
He rolls. He rolled a natural 20.
Hey, Grizz.
So he like takes this bone dagger that's clearly seen better days, but it seems to be sharp enough as it's got this curve to it that he uses to get behind the Briarheart, and it cuts it free easily. He's
Here you go.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
I really appreciate this, Grizz.
It's honestly, I was hungry, and I'm gonna take some of these dead Briarhearts, because then it looks like I've done something, and I'll bring it home and I won't get in trouble. So we're golden.
Oh, you can eat them?
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. They're all yours. All four of them.
Hell, fantastic.
4 of them. I'll show you where they were, and she'll point them out.
okay. You watch as he like harvests the 4 damaged Briarhearts, and you watch as he does. He's like,
Delicious.
and the sap. Now that you're holding a whole one, it smells like maple syrup.
Oh. Okay. She'll thank him again. And be on her way.
He patters off into the forest with his arms full of Briarheart corpses.
That was nice of him.
Kindness pays forward, as you head toward Ferrum. And the suns are setting. It's nearly nighttime. It's probably like 7 at night. But you make it back into the gates of Ferrum. And you see that... Actually... Hold on. You see that Bud's shop is still open.
Yes. I go in.
You see the dwarven woman is now, like, the shop's, like, in the process of closing down, and she's behind the counter, like, taking notes about inventory and stuff like that. She looks up and she says, "Hey, you're back."
I hold it up triumphantly.
Oh, perfect. Oh, it's fantastic. You can't make the right potions without one of these. And she takes it from you, and she's, like, looking it over, and she says, yep, deal's a deal. She plops 15 gold on the counter for you.
Thank you so much, bud.
You find any more?
There was only one.
Ah, it's a shame. They're not
Super
really in
lucky.
season. Okay. Well done bringing it back. They're a little tricky to cut out, so I was worried you might fuck it up.
Well, as you can see, it was harvested by an expert.
It sure seems to be. These are very clean cuts. All right. You're always welcome back. I'm sure I'll have more things to do if you need.
Yeah, you can find me at Mariguard. Easy.
Fantastic. You have a nice night. Hey, Lorna.
Thank you, bud. I'll go back feeling a sense of accomplishment and only minor guilt that I took credit for that.
I mean, you paid a ration. Okay. You have successfully harvested the Briarheart.
I'm only 96 gold off my goal.
Making money slowly but surely.
She would do such things until she had that money.
Such things, odd jobs of
Such
the like.
things. Sure.
Okay.
A hired hand, if you will. A hired clumsy hand that really means well, but isn't super great at what it does.
Sure. Now that night it is 7 o'clock as you return, which means that it is time for dinner. You go ahead and get yourself some food. It is well made. It's not spectacular, as things are made largely for a huge amount of people. But you notice there's a lot of recruits that look just, or at least similarly as new as you do. It seems as though there's been a recent influx of people. A lot of them wearing the same red and gold filigreed things as you. As you do find yourself eating, Callie the halfling sits down next to you with her own food, and she says, "Hey, how was your first day?"
Great. I did an odd job, but it wasn't really for the Mariguard, so very easy.
Well, work is work.
True. Actually, do you happen to know any way I could raise some money?
Oh, yeah. There's all sorts of things you can do. What are you good at?
She conjures little sparks on her fingertips.
Okay, what'd you do before you came here?
I read books.
Ah,
I'm pretty young still, I'm just finding my way in the world.
Callie, like, blinks at you and says, okay, well,
Well,
I grew
what
up
do
on a farm, so, I always can just work as a hand if I need to.
I had the advantages of not having to do a lot of physical labor as a child, so unfortunately now I'm at a disadvantage because I don't know how to do any of that.
Yeah, that's fair. How are you? Are you religious?
I could be for the right price.
Well, there's a few temples around the town that you can always volunteer at, and they always pay a little bit of a wage for.
It feels a little wrong to. Well, I guess if I'm doing work, I deserve to pay for it. But...
Well, I mean, as wizarding students, the Temple of Magus is always a good option.
This Mig is familiar to me.
Roll of religion?
I think so.
Magus is the god of magic.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. I think I might actually do that because at least I'm not exactly faithful, but it's adjacent to something I consider an expertise.
Yeah, you might get a little bored as it's all organizing and...
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I find it therapeutic to focus.
Well, maybe when you have some free time, hop on down to the Temple of Magus and see if they have anything for you.
I'm gonna pat her hand lightly and say, I only have free time.
Right now, your time's going to be swallowed by Tabernacle in the next... you're going to have a lot... You don't know how much you're going to have to do.
I guess I don't. Would you mind being like a study partner for me? You've been here longer than I have.
Not by much, but I wouldn't mind. I could always use the help as well. I don't mind working with you.
Were you still struggling with that problem?
I don't know what kind of... Okay, so...
How about I look at it and I can help you? Maybe.
Not right now. My brain's turned to mush, but maybe tomorrow? Or
Sure.
when you have time. You're going to be busy with Tabernacle tomorrow.
Okay, well, if I can help, I'll try to.
I appreciate that. Make sure you're there on time tomorrow, by the way. Tabernacle doesn't like it when we're late.
I don't like it when I'm late either. By the way, I don't know what you mean when you meant a Hollowell? A Holotheth? Did I say that right?
Hal?
Yeah, what did you mean by that?
He looks... It might be because you're higher born than I am. You kind of smell a noble, you know? But you're nice. He was talking to me like I was a ruddy peasant.
That's weird. You're both wizards, so theoretically you're on the same wavelength.
You're cute.
She looks genuinely surprised by that,
As in,
and if not, a little flustered.
you know, a little bit naive.
You know, I haven't heard that before, but I feel like there's worse things that you can be called.
No two wizards are the same, and it's not about what you do. To him, it's about where you're from.
Okay.
I'm from farmland in Aurelia. He's from the hoity-toity high families in KO.
To be fair, Kali, you already know more useful skills than I do.
That doesn't matter to him.
Well, he's an idiot.
Thank you.
But I can respect someone being nice to me, and he was, so
I'm glad he was nice to you. He wasn't very nice to me.
I understand.
Just got, you know, a bit of that... What's the word? Elite?
Arrogance?
Yes. Arrogance. He was arrogant to me.
I suppose I just didn't see that side of him because he didn't feel the need to be a dick to me.
Well, I'm glad.
I'll try to be more insightful.
I mean, you don't have to do anything. It's on him. It's his problem.
You said I was a little naive. Not that I took offense. It's just it's probably
Well,
inaccurate.
just to saying that we're all wizards doesn't mean that we're not. You know, some of us can be shitty people to people. I'm sure I'm
actually
rude to
haven't-
someone.
Met a lot of wizards. Just myself, really.
What'd you grow up under a rock?
You could say something like that. We're surrounded by them in the form of oppressive stone walls.
Oh. Well, I'm glad you're here, because you're going to get plenty of freedom. Lots of fresh air, especially when we go on our first agency.
Freedom is all I care about at this point.
Oh, you have it now. All you have to do is well, I guess that doesn't really feel like freedom. But if you just do what the dragon tells you, you can do whatever you
really
want
feel like
otherwise.
Sure. Boundaries, parameters, expectations. I understand all of that.
Do you have an idea what your first spell's going to be?
I did have a thought.
Well, don't keep it to yourself.
I was thinking about specializing in transmutation.
Oh, Tabernacle would like that.
He mentioned it, and I didn't want to seem like I was kissing up to him just because he said that he specializes in transmutation, and of course, oh, me too, you know. So I didn't bring it up, but
it's you know, all he would say something like, you know, magic is the flavor of your soul or whatever, and then it would be perfect. You just go with what feels right to you, and he wouldn't feel like you were sucking up, especially if you meant it.
I do mean it. I think change is invaluable, and I would like to change as well. So I thought maybe something that changed aspects. I only found out today that I have to make a spell for graduation, so I really nailed it or ironed it out. But
you're going to make a lot more spells. It's just the one you submit for graduation's the big one, you know.
how big is big? Like, what's the expectation here?
It's second level.
Okay. Well, I don't even know any second level spells right now, so.
Me neither.
What area of arcane practice are you planning on, Akali?
Oh, I'm evocation.
Oh, bangs.
Mm-hmm.
That suits you.
I'd like to think so.
So as long as you make something explode with enough force, you're in.
Oh, I'm a fan of the acids. They could be really useful.
Yes. Yeah, I can imagine that they would be. I can't really see a realm outside of melting someone's face off, but maybe you're more creative than I am.
If there's a lock you can't get through, you can cover it with acid. Or,
True.
If you need to weaken something, like if there's, say, a bridge and you need to strategically make it not effective for the enemy, you just put a little bit of acid in the right spots. It's not just about melting people's face, like it can be. That's real useful. But it's more than just that,
See, you're already more creative than I am.
Clearly, I'm an evocation focus.
I might need your insight when I'm working on ideas for my spell, if that's all right.
No, I'm happy to help, and I might need yours.
Okay, then we have an arrangement.
We have it a card, and she holds her hand out.
She'll shake her hand.
Fantastic. I saw you took the solar room as well. You lucky dog.
The solar room?
The solo, the only room without anybody in it.
Sorry, your accent. I'm obviously not from here.
It's fine. I can tell you're from across the pond.
Can you?
Yes.
Can you tell where?
It's not really. It's just vaguely west.
Okay. I'm happy with that answer.
I'd gamble not Terracona.
She'll shrug non-committally.
Yeah, not Terracona. Okay. Anyway, I'm from, I'm just from the outskirts of Augur City, so I didn't really have to come far.
I'm glad I could travel far to get here.
Well, me too. You're an exciting person.
You'll see that's not true.
Okay. Prove it.
I look forward to proving it to you, Callie.
And Callie finishes her meal, and she says, I have studying to do, but I look forward to bumbling into you again tomorrow, so...
Oh, it'll happen, and I'll try not to scare you this time.
That's my own fault, really. I've never really been too perceptive.
Hello. What's that like?
You don't have to rub it in.
Sorry, I kind of do. I think we're friends now.
Are we? Well, I guess I can accept that. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow, eh?
Okay.
And Callie, shoves you on the shoulder and then goes out of the cafeteria.
Satisfied. I have a friend now.
At least one.
I think she might be around my age. That'd be also a first.
It's hard to tell with a halfling. Could be.
It is. She could be 30 or 60. But she could still look the same way.
Anyway, as you finish your meal, and eventually you do head up to your dormitory, You've had a long day, if for a first day, here in Ferrum and at the Mariguard Academy, passing new faces, but all of them seem not judgmental, as if they are too busy concentrating on their own problems, their own studies, the things they're working on and what they're trying to accomplish. And with those thoughts in mind, what's Lorna thinking about?
Lorna is thinking about how relieved she is with the distance that she's been able to cover in such a short amount of time. And she's very frustrated that she can't even really enjoy that relief because there's this gnawing anxiety in the pit of her stomach that's always there. And when she has a moment, especially alone, where she can just feel it, she can't distract herself from it, that she starts to feel sick.
Okay. And as you do eventually go to sleep that night, I'd like you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. It's not bad. I mean, I haven't rolled yet, but...
Your bonus is not bad. A 19.
24 total.
There is just the briefest of moments as you're falling asleep. You catch the vision, the memory of the gray tiefling with black-tipped fingers and horns, smiling at you with Fionn grasped by her throat, looking at you with that wicked smile. But you push it out of your mind. You push it away, and you then think of the massive, smiling, fanged face of Tabernac, assuring you in weird, archaic ways that you are his to learn from and to be protected by. And you sleep well.
Hard to beat a dragon.
Hard to beat a dragon. And that is where we're going to stop. This is where we end the first session of From Nothing, Lorna's story.
Yay.
Okay.
Yay.
How do you think that went for a start? What do you think?
So far, so good.
Awesome.
Made kind of like two friends.
You allied a kobold who was a lazy kobold who fell asleep.
I
on
can
the
relate to
ground.
that.
And you befriended Callie, the halfling evocation wizard. So, a good start. Let's see what happens on the next day of Lorna's story.
I think Lorna's idea is that allies are an irreplaceable resource right now.
Which, by translation, means you're gotta catch 'em all companion.
Gotta catch them all. She's not going to be able to protect herself by herself.
Fair enough. Well done, well played. You did a great job playing Lorna. The character
Yay.
feels breathing, feels real, and she seems fun. So, and that, I want to thank everybody for watching if you are, and we'll see you next time.